Good day, dear friends. Good day, and welcome to this thing of ours. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday, the 16th day of January. And always remember something right now. We are 294 days until the election. So we thank you. We welcome you. Please like the video. Please subscribe. Subscribing is critical because when we have new videos that go up, let me know. And also, if somebody can be the first one to let me know that I am coming across, because sometimes best laid plans, you know how that works out. If you are hearing me 5 by 5, please let me know so that I can continue and not waste any time, because today's message might be the most important. And per usual, it has a lot to do with what the information is. Thank you, Dan. First one in. Number one, this is the most important, and this is the most critical. Look at this. Lionel, YouTube is telling me your start is Thursday in 11 hours. That does not sound right. I will check that later. Thank you so much for that. Perhaps maybe I have put the wrong in. You're wonderful, keeping me alert. A couple of things here, and this goes back to a little bit about the way we act. One of the rules that we always have in our favor, one of the rules which is so critical, so monumentally critical, is as follows. Number one, we never want to be the repository of gossip. And what I mean by that is we don't want to merely repeat what other people are saying, what other people are saying. Let me give you an example of such. It is very popular among our group. And you know who I'm talking about, the conspiratorium. It's very popular for people in our group to say as follows. And one of you fine people said this. You said that Barack Obama is calling the shots. And for some particular reason, this makes you feel good. There's no evidence of this, but it's something that we repeat and it deflects. It doesn't really matter. Remember, always focus on this triage patient. We're in the emergency room. The patient is dying. And I want only people around me to tell me something that deals with this now, of what we knew, of what we know now. Not what happened in the past, not familial history. What is happening right now? What is happening to this patient now? What is happening to our republic now? That's what's critical. That's what's important. What's happening now? Now. And it's very intriguing to think that somehow Barack Obama is behind the levers, pulling the strings. Sounds good, but there's no evidence of it. None. And if I had to bet anything, based upon, again, intuition, he is not calling. He might be called upon to involve himself in some form of a contributory aspect, maybe to promote, to help. He is not calling the shots. Number two, Michelle Obama is not going to run. She is not going to run. Do you see what's happening? Do you see what's critical? She is not going to run. And yes, there was indeed a problem. It did say PM today. That was through my error. Dear and wonderful and glorious friend, thank you. Today it did say 8 a.m. and that is wrong. As you could obviously imagine, it was 8 a.m. That was nothing but YouTube. YouTube did nothing wrong. That was my error. I did that myself in trying to get through and to do all of these by myself, excuse me, which is fine. It's the only way I will do it. Okay. So here is the bigger issue. There's something which is even more problematic today and more frightening. Let me see if I can explain this to you. It's very, very simple. What is happening right now if Donald Trump were to win again? What if the other scenario, which I have been absolutely ignoring until recently, until something, remember, when the facts change, you change your mind. Something is happening right now, which is very, very, very frightening. Let me bring this to your attention, my friends. Let me bring this to your attention, and let me explain to you a scenario that we have never thought of and you have never thought of. But first, I want to remind you, and this is very, very important, means a lot to me. I want to see you. This is a command performance. I want to see you, dear friend, February the 3rd at the story, the incredible, the New York's Cutting Room, one of the best venues in New York City for what we do. Everybody goes there. All of the acts play there. It's great for music, but it's so perfect. Now, if you would like to be a part of this, it's very simple. Where do you go? You get tickets right here, dear friends. Tickets. This is where you go. Right here. I'm going to put this up for you so that you can have this immediately. Let me get rid of this and go back to here. And let me go back. There we go. So this is the information. I put it right there for you. One more time, if you're paying attention, and please, it's in the comment section. It's in the description section. It is right there. Please join us because we have so very much to say. Now, a couple of things here. Number one, there was a time you may not recall during the Bush administration, and there was a fellow by the name of Dick Cheney. You might have heard of him. People believe that somehow he was responsible for 9/11, even there's no basis for that. It's one of those things that kind of sounds good. And even then I'm saying there's no evidence of this. But some folks in our group loved the idea because they hated him with such a power, with such a passion. They hated him with such an inimitable power or a force. They despised him. And I'm saying, but it doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. You don't want that. You don't want you want plausible deniability if indeed it even happened. And I believe that not only is there no evidence of it, which is the complete and total review, but there's no reason for anybody to even think he did it. But they liked it. And within our particular group, it became very, very popular. And people theoretically and actually loved the idea of it because they despised Dick Cheney so much. Dick Cheney was this horrible person. So that's number one. Number two, what we are seeing here is even more interesting. What if I told you the following scenario, the following hypothesis? What if they want Trump in? And what they're going to do with Trump is what they're going to do for Dick Cheney, which is why I brought it up. As we speak, everybody is saying if Trump is elected, he will be a dictator. If Trump is elected, he will take over the country. If Trump is elected, he will wrest control from everyone. If Trump is in control, if Trump enjoys another version, another round, so to speak, he will not be allowed. He will destroy everything. So what they're doing is two things happen, and bear with me. During the Bush administration, through a fellow named David Addington, this is very important, through David Addington, they wanted to start something which was called, this is very important, it was a return of the unitary executive. Do you hear what I'm saying? The unitary executive. And what it was the establishment of the presidency as being the top dog. Believe it or not, under the Constitution, under the separation of powers, it's the Congress that is given these. Congress receives these, for lack of a better word, these, I don't know what the word is, these preference. Under Article 1 of the Constitution, it is Congress. It is Congress that receives this. Congress. Article 1, that's what's critical. Article 1, Article 1, Article 1, Article 1, Article 1, Article 1. But then during the Bush administration, they changed everything. They did PDDs and PDBs and presidential decision directives. They did signing statements. They did everything to establish this notion of the unitary executive. And it was to establish the presidency as preeminent. Does that make sense to you? Unitary executive. Unitary executive. Now, what happens now? And again, this is a hypothesis. This is a I'm not telling you this is going to happen because we don't know. But there's one thing about the shadow government or deep state, as you might call it. They love to give you hints. They speak openly and they think they can spell. They can say things. You know, when you're family. Listen, we're going to go to the DOCTOR. They're speaking, but your parents basically had contempt for you because you were a kid and you couldn't spell. What is happening right now and what is critical is that they are telling you this. For example, we fear Trump as being a dictator. They are going to suggest, number one, removing his ability to have access to the military. The drafters of the Constitution wanted a civilian military. They hated a standing army. Absolutely. It was something they despised and feared more than anything you could imagine. Do you hear what I'm saying? They despised the notion of a standing military that could be used most effectively as a coup. Okay? Now, listen to what I'm saying. Things have changed now. And in that spirit, there is the shadow government, the people who want to run everything. And to have this committee, this rogue group of people running the show, they forever want to be able to disenable or to turn on or off a president who is not paying attention. Let me explain to you what Obama was. He was a puppet. He was a sock puppet. He was a marionette. He was Pinocchio to their Geppetto. And to many respects, others as well. He's not the first one, but he really set it into play. You know, Bill Clinton showed a certain degree of autonomy, a certain degree of it. George Bush was the absolute perfect, George W. Bush, the perfect, um, um, how do I say this? He was the perfect manifestation of this. Trump came along and showed incredible independence and it scared people. So what they're doing is right now they're laying the groundwork that we have to redo legislation to basically neuter and immobilize the Constitution and to have Trump as the vehicle to basically seize all power and to neutralize the military so that it can come under the control specifically not of the civilian Congress, but of the shadow government. And they are predicting, they're presaging, they're saying if he is elected, this is going to happen. They are planning as we speak what amounts to a coup, a bloodless, silent coup, which we won't even notice. Remember something. You represent a group of people that are very defined. I mentioned this last night. Imagine having a prison where 98% of the inmates are happy, are fine, and have no interest whatsoever in ever escaping. They're doing just fine. They have no interest whatsoever in leaving. They have no grievances, nothing. They don't care about this. They're doing splendidly. They have no problem whatsoever. That is the majority, I tell you again, of most people that we have here today. Most people. I tell you, dear friends, I am letting you know, I am reminding you, I am telling you, we have so many problems, and one of our problems is that we don't have people who care. You care, and you're wonderful for that, and I appreciate it, and I love you, but we are the minority. So as we speak, you've got to ask yourself this question. Do you think there remains the possibility, dear friend, of the folks who are involved in conducting and running the shadow government are planning to let Trump win again so they can once and for all destroy the Constitution? They're going to have it two ways. Number one, elect a puppet, which they can always control. Gavin Newsom, Barack Obama, no problem with that. Or bring somebody in to dismantle the Constitution so that it never poses a threat again to anyone in the future. That's my question. That's my point. Let me say this again. The shadow government, think of it as a virus. What is a virus? This is the most important thing. The virus, a virus is something which is so critical, so scary, so frightening. The virus is this rule, this how do I say this? This non-living thing that comes into this body, that comes into the host, and goes in and starts to work magic with the DNA, with the functioning. It goes in and rewires. It's a virus. That's why they call a virus to a computer. It goes in, reroutes everything. That's what the shadow government is. It goes into our culture, into our country, and it dismantles and disconnects the Constitution, which is a burglar alarm, which is a variety of. We're going to talk about this. Stand by. I got a lot to tell you right now. And it's kind of a fine tune because it may mean that Trump wins, but if he does win, it'll be one of the worst things that ever could happen to him. Now, my friends, listen to me right now. We have a very dear friend named Mike Lindell. There's a company called mypillow.com. If you go to mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, you receive a free gift. And I want you to listen to this word. Listen to these words and listen to some of the greatest products from one of the greatest countries, greatest corporations in the greatest countries, at least so far. Listen carefully. All right, my friend. It's time to hail and salute our great friends at mypillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you get a free gift. No purchase necessary. I know a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But listen carefully. What are we talking about? Giza Dream Bed Sheets, My Pillow 2.0, sheets, slippers, percales, towels, quilts, bedspreads, mattresses, mattress covers, mattress toppers, linens, kitchen towels, bathrobes, name it. Items to help you luxuriate and relax. Think about it. And they're monster sellers right now. Listen to me. Slippers. My slippers. Think about it. What do they do with My Pillow? They make things real soft and plush and comfy. How perfect. And when they apply that genius to slippers, look out. Look out. Look at the specials right now, but only if you use promo code Lionel. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel. Solid disproverbial. mypillow.com/Lionel or call 800-645-4965. Call right now and watch how fast Mike answers the phone. mypillow.com, the best. And my friends, remember something. These folks always tell you what they're going to do. They love symbology. They love hints. They give you more hints than you can ever imagine. That's what they do. Now, last night, of course, Trump absolutely clobbered the opposition. Nikki Haley came in third. Ron DeSantis, Your boyfriend, Vivek Ramaswamy, is dropping out because he never wanted to be the president. This is, and you know how this is. Alan Keyes, Gary Bauer. Remember those names? What? Who? Remember the people who run and it helps them. Chris Christie. Chris Christie did such a great job. Believe me, he's on the phone with his agent. He wants a permanent gig at one of these, he wants to be on CNN or whatever. And that's fine. That's what he was doing because he make a lot of money basically doing nothing. He's ready for prime time. He's bigger than life. He's kind of like Ralph Cramden meets whoever. Okay. That's who he is. Now, listen very, 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 very carefully. Donald Trump right now poses an existential threat to these folks. And believe me when I tell you, you must respect them. You must respect them. Laurie Cook says, Why am I unsubbed every day? LOL. That's how I know you're over the target. That is the weirdest thing. I don't know, Lori. Thank you. I don't understand this. I do not understand it, but thank you. So let's do this. Okay? Vivek Ramaswamy means nothing. Nikki Haley knows she is not going to win. Nikki Haley, remember, nobody really wants to be president today. If you want to be powerful, one could say that Bill Gates is more powerful theoretically than the president. And I think there's something to be said for that. I think there are some people who are more powerful. Some of the when you say power, what is it that makes somebody powerful? It's hard to say. Joe Rogan, Elon Musk is powerful, not because of the money, because of power. Henry Kissinger may not have been the richest man in the world, but he was probably one of the most powerful. Power is what is, I know, Lord Acton, it corrupts absolutely, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what we're talking about. It's a different story. And there are people who love to play chess. And Trump is walking into this, and he is feeling absolutely filled with a spirit, because I think it was the largest voter differential that anybody's ever even seen. What Trump needs is to understand what's happening. And Trump needs to listen or to do what I'm going to say, which is very important. I want you to listen carefully. And I want you to just not respond into, but not you, but the world, not what you want to occur, but what you think is going to occur. Let me explain to you. Years ago, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, Larry Bird, was famous for, as they say, trash talking. They loved to say this. He was a trash talker. He talked trash. Okay, fine. And what he did was very interesting. He would look or talk to someone. He would whoever was guarding him, and he would say, "I'm going to come off the base. I'm going to take 2 steps in. I'm going to do a reverse jumper left-handed, and I'm going to hit a three-pointer." And he would tell him exactly what he was going to do, and he did it. And it drove these people nuts. What Trump needs to do is to have someone explain to him, believe it or not, when I tell you this, he has to have a shadow cabinet. Remember the kitchen cabinet Ronald Reagan had? Who was it? Mike Deaver and Lynn Nofziger and all his California advisors. Trump needs this. These people can never be known. You never want their names. For example, one of them is Alex Jones. Alex Jones is a most unique person who has the ability to see things in a way that nobody does. I will tell you this right now. Tucker Carlson is the king of the obvious. Tucker Carlson says things and acts like he just, and it's, I mean, good for him, but he acts like he just discovered it. Like he's the only one to understand this. And what they're doing is they're mobilizing and weaponizing social media to limit critics of it. I know that, but he thinks it's terrific. Alex Jones is a genius. Alex Jones has to remain hidden. Now, here is what they need to do. Now, listen carefully. This is what Trump needs to do. He needs to go out the next time he speaks, have a list, write it down, commit it to memory, whatever it was. Lori Cook says AJ has the truckers in America. Lori, he has more people. There are 2 individuals, Alex Jones and Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan will not focus his power directionally. And he's very smart because he just wants to say, look, I've been through this Spotify thing. When he groveled before, when Neil Young threatened to pull his extensive catalog, stop it. Just stop this nonsense, please, for the love of God. In any event, I say to you the following. Listen and listen carefully. Number 1, he comes along and President Trump has to say exactly what is going to happen. President Trump says, I want you to listen carefully. And if he wants, he can do kind of a la Alex. And you can say, I want you to listen to people. They are telling you that if I am reelected, that they believe there will be a dictatorship Why are they telling you? Because they're presaging, they're forecasting, they're foretelling what they plan to do. Let me say this again. They're going to cut my ability, for example, to utilize the Insurrection Act. This is where the President of the United States is able to use and to connect himself with the military. Do you think Lloyd Austin's his disappearance meant anything? Do you think it meant something? Do you think this meant something? Let me tell you the difference between us, Alex Jones, and others. A baby doesn't know his parents are spelling. When the parents are planning to take the baby or the kid to the doctor, we know. We know what they're doing. Nothing happens by accident. Nothing happens by accident. Nothing ever changes where the defense secretary could come up. Remember Norman Schwarzkopf? Remember Norman Schwarzkopf was talking about prostate cancer. And he was on Good Morning America, and he says, let me tell you something. A lot of men don't like the idea of somebody sticking a finger up your butt, but that's exactly what you need. So men get, and he was great. He actually used his prostate cancer as a chance to, you don't think Lloyd Austin could have done something? You think somebody could have, and maybe garnered a little sympathy, especially when the defense, who was basically after Milley and this wokeness. Do you mean to tell me? Yeah. So why would they forego the chance to specifically, absolutely guarantee a moment of some form of oh, I don't know what the word is, a moment of some connection, if you will? Why would they do that? Something is up. And that's why you have to know this. Remember, they turn to people like, the Rachel Maddows, and they are the bought and sold apparatchik propagandists, whatever it is. Two, they don't represent the administration. They represent the shadow government. The shadow government are the people who oversee everything. Let me also throw something at you. Listen to me and listen carefully. Before I forget, two things you better be aware of. Number one, TikTok is coming forward. Mrs. L showed me. There are advertisings and commercials that laud and herald the beauty and the wonder of TikTok. That TikTok is used by nuns, and TikTok is used for by the beef community, and TikTok is this, and TikTok is that. And I'm 100% for it. Absolutely. To use TikTok however you want. Do not destroy a platform in order to go after particular speech. You don't want to do this. They're going to get TikTok next. I mean, they're going to get Twitter. They hate social media. They hate them. They would rather shut it down. And is TikTok owned by China? Yes. Does TikTok use means of gathering your data? Yes. So what should we do? Tell people what TikTok does, but don't shut it down. We do have this thing. We are becoming too trigger happy when it comes to shutting things down. That's number one. So keep in mind that. But this other thing I want you to notice, watch what the World Economic Forum is doing, and watch how it is branching off and readjusting its image. Now, to you, you're not going to in any way change your opinion as to the image. You're not going to change your opinion as to it, the CDC, the Fed, World Bank, the Trilateral Commission, CFR, whatever it is. You will never ever change your mind. But the rest of the country is. Watch what happens. How there is a PR move on Davos, G7, great minds, people working together, consortia. That's number one. Next, before I forget, and this is it's just so just take what I'm saying and focus. The UN is under incredible of pressure. Let me stop for a second. We'll go back to the Trump thing in a moment because this is really shocking. This last minute, because it's apparent what they're doing. They're letting you know that Trump is coming, and if he's coming, the shadow government does one of two things. One, I always go with this. It's much easier. We would much rather just have people in from now on, people like Gavin Newsom, because we need other things to do. Or let me ask you this question before I get to the UN and others. Make a note of this before I forget. What happens if the shadow government advisors say, we've got a big problem? We've got internal polling, and polling is so good. The stuff you see on TV, that's not what I'm talking about. Rasmussen and, the various ABC News, the Reuters poll. No, those mean nothing. Okay. A real poll costs millions of dollars, and they're very good. What if they said, we've got a problem? The problem is that we expect such a blowout that the margin of victory is going to be so great that we can't hide this. We can't pull a Philadelphia. We can't lose the ballots, burn the ballots, have dead people voting. We can't do that. We can't do this. This is different this time. Last time, legally, there was a margin of error. We're scared now. This guy could win legitimately. There's a margin of error. If you know that there is, and by the way, all of this done legally, but if you know that Trump wins by a bit of a sliver, you can work wonders. But when he is going to, if somebody said, for example, that George McGovern beat Richard Nixon, nobody would believe it. Lori Cook says, make POTUS irrelevant and who cares about Trump? Ah, yes, that is precisely right. And also, Lori, to defang the president. This is a palace coup. They've always hated the president. What do you think Nixon was about? What do you think Nixon was about? What was that about? What was Richard Nixon about? Why did they want, what was so important about Richard Nixon? Why did he have to have, why must he have been impeached? Think about it. It's an incredible issue. It's something that is so fascinating. So fascinating. If you think about it, why was he? Because this was called a soft coup or a palace coup. Because you don't want people. If you listen, the bottom line is one of the reasons why they killed Jimmy Hoffa was that when he came back, it was either Fitzsimmons who was running, who was the perfect shill for the Teamsters. They didn't want Jimmy Hoffa there. Jimmy Hoffa says, well, I'm coming back. And I'm thinking, no. You always want a shill. You don't want anybody to be independent. Barack Obama was a shill. By the way, Laurie says he was a populist. You bring up a good point. Let me tell you something about this right now. Let's look this word up. It's very interesting, this word populist, all right? And I'm going to throw this in, and let me see what it says. We use this word populist. Populist is a term, listen carefully, used to describe a political approach or movement that claims to present the interests and views of the general population, especially those considered to be ordinary and working class people. Populism often emphasizes the idea that the establishment elite or ruling class is out of touch with the needs and concerns of the common citizens. Populist leaders or movements typically position themselves as champions of the people against a perceived corrupt or self-serving elite. That is precisely what this is. Now, let me also tell you, which is important. Listen to me carefully. All of a sudden, there is this movement here that is shaking up the preeminence of Israel as the understood and beloved 100% absolute power. Let me say this again. Israel up till now was never, ever questioned. ever. Oh, there were some pockets of here. Max Blumenthal was always here. By the way, remember, Max Blumenthal is going to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Max Blumenthal is going to receive, I hope so, because he has upset this apple cart more. Max Blumenthal, let me say something, has inspired more investigative alternative media sources than anybody. Max Blumenthal and Finkelstein and others. I don't want to repeat this. We're seeing now people walk out of the White House. That was the education. There were some more today, right? Some more. You're going to see more people buck. Who did?
The White House canceled. They said the weather's too bad to have a walkout. That's what they just announced it.
The weather's too bad to have a walkout. This is an existential threat. Let me explain this to you. And I love this. If for any reason, if you wanted to be, if you have absolutely no love in your heart for Israel, no concern for Israel, no care for Israel, anything along those lines, if this is truly your feeling and you say, all right, give me a reason why I should be pro-Palestinian, because having the United States government, the shadow government, and everybody before this lose its connection to fueling and funding and aiding and abetting foreign wars is the best thing that ever happened to us. Why we are jumping into this, I have no earthly idea. And I'm not even talking about the allegations that were made against Israel. What I'm saying is, watch what is happening. This is scary stuff for the shadow government. You've got a mutiny. We don't have mutinies here. This is bigger than anybody thought. Okay, so I've thrown a lot at you. It's very, very difficult. Very, very. What you think about this? Think about this thing very, very carefully, my friends. Think what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. And also understand that there is going to be, as you know, some very horrible weather that is befalling us. You're going to hear later as things turn up or settle down regarding Russia and Ukraine. Remember, that's not going anywhere. We never felt any connection regarding grain exporting, and but it takes something very, very simple to affect food chains or to bring on something chaotic. That's what you should pay attention to. And listen right now, in the event that you want to ensure that your family and you are protected, this is the best deal that My Patriot Supply has ever had. And that's why you should go to preparewithlionel.com. Listen, 2024, as I have stated and predicted, will be contentious, scary, and promises to blow your mind. It'll make 2023 look like a walk in the park because the folks who run the show live for chaos and instability and panic. Your panic. Now, many of our problems could be solved overnight, but that defeats the purpose. Destabilization and chaos, that's the name of the game. Now, if you can handle the truth, and I know you can, you need to visit my website, preparewithlionel.com. Write this down, preparewithlionel.com. You'll get $200 off a much-needed and absolute best-selling 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Now listen carefully. This is the country's largest preparedness company. My Patriot Supply is your fighting chance at survival. And I don't use that word lightly, survival. Sealed inside 6 water-resistant buckets, these delicious meals, 22 varieties of tasty breakfasts, lunches, dinners, snacks, you name it, last up to 25 years and provide over 2,000 calories per day. And we're talking 120 pounds of food. Eat right in emergencies with this 3-month food kit from My Patriot Supply. At this low price, you can get one for everyone in your family. Think about this. This is critical. So visit preparewithlionel.com right now. Order by 3 p.m. for free same-day shipping. Prepare right now at preparewithlionel.com. One more time. Go to preparewithlionel.com before chaos ensues. This is important. Now, another thing I want to bring to your attention, as you know, from time to time, it is the shadow government's intent to completely destroy everything that is our history, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, anything that connects us with our forebears. The latest movement, and it's been around for quite a while, is to either. And by the way, the Declaration of Independence is not really. It doesn't. It's not mandatory like the Constitution, but it lays the framework. Now, the Declaration, quotes. This is Thomas Jefferson's quotes Native Americans as, quote, merciless Indian savages who fought for the British Empire. Thomas Jefferson wrote that the king, quote, endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. Some say the term savages is derogatory and part of a racist passage in the Declaration of Independence, but you're going to be seeing this, and you're seeing a complete and total rerouting of the American system, structure, belief, all of it moved. And I'm telling you, this is bigger than anything. Pay attention. It is this idea of changing everything. So if we change the Constitution, and many people still don't know the difference between the Declaration and the Constitution. If we change the Constitution, if we get rid of all of these impediments to a free and open society, we would be better off. So don't feel bad about changing the Constitution. Don't feel bad about getting rid of history, of statues. Don't feel bad about us redefining our position in terms of the, quote, Native American. Don't feel bad about that, because our history is, this is what they want you to believe, our history is replete with vile instances of blah, 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 blah. Now, let me go back to what I said before. What Trump needs to do is say, let me tell you what I'm going to do. Let me tell you something. He needs to do this on a regular basis. Why he doesn't, I have no idea. Trump should have, and I said this, he should have either at Mar-a-Lago or someplace else, have a setup where he reintroduces something called it's almost like the fireside chat to an extent, okay? And it works very specifically where he speaks to the American people. And he tells them, now I want you to know what they're doing. They're going to say this. There has been a coup. And since Joe Biden, it's almost like he's letting you in. Since Joe Biden took over, theoretically, he's a puppet. And somebody's hand is up his back and he becomes this manifestation, this Pinocchio to these very evil and dastardly people. And they are the ones that we need to be discussing. And they're the ones in charge. And what they're going to tell you now is this. They have come after me with 4 or 5, whatever, I don't know how many, 97 charges. You notice how we don't hear anything about Jack Smith? We don't hear anything anymore about the Mar-a-Lago documents. Nothing. It seems to be the Letitia Baldridge, the Tish James case here in New York, the original case with Alvin Bragg we don't hear about, with that Jadrul Joe Tacopina with the messed up Simon Cowell eyes. I don't know what happened to him. I know that even E. Jean Carroll's trying something again. I mean, they're just going out of their way. He's got to tell people, look what they're doing to me. Look what they're doing to me, and look what they're doing to us. This is exactly what it means. It's critical that he does that. He doesn't do it enough. Now, interesting, when it came to Iowa rather, you can ask yourself, why did he do so well? Because the others are so bad, in part. And let me ask this question. Whom will Trump select as his vice president? Now we're getting into serious talks about this. Before, it really didn't matter. I'm not asking you whom you would select. I'm asking you who will be appointed. Who? Now, let me stop right now. Let me just go through this. Lori Cuck says Rand Paul. Now, do you think, Lori, and we love you, that strategically for the country, that's good? Or are you saying, I like Rand Paul? I enjoy Rand Paul. Rand Paul, Ron Paul, libertarian. Okay. Christy Noem. Look at this. Vivek and Don Jr. in 2028. You can say goodbye. See, that's wonderful. That's just insanity. Don Jr. I'm sure he's a fine man. He's a petulant, angry, no. No, 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 no. Ben Carson. Ben Carson makes the most sense. Ben Carson. Christy Noem? No. You're making one mistake. What is the importance? What is the importance? Hot Pocket, you are a Don Jr. fan and you know it. And I kid, I love you. What is the thing that's important? What do you want as a vice president? What do you want? What do you think? What is a vice president today? What is it? Tim Scott or a lady? Tim Scott's got some issues that are not going to play well. We'll just leave it at that, okay? Stability, sort of. Stability, sort of. What's the number one criterion using the Nash Gardner, the warm bucket of piss? Carrie Lake, never. Carrie Lake is radioactive. Carrie Lake is about radioactive. She is a third rail. She's me. Someone who doesn't talk too much. Susie's on to something there. Rand Paul, never. First of all, do you think Rand Paul wants... First, you got to ask him, do you want to be vice president? When you go, you got to ask yourself, Trump could theoretically... I think he looks in great shape, but one never knows. I don't know how they were talking about his leg. Now remember, Rand Paul, no. I don't care whether you like Rand Paul. I don't care whether you like Chris. Remember, you're going to have to talk strategically and politically. Ben Carson, quiet, black, couldn't hurt, never seizes the spotlight. And if America had to, if God forbid something happened, he had to take over, he could then say, you know what? He doesn't annoy people. Laurie says backup, true to an extent. But you don't want somebody to overpower you. You don't want Carrie Lake, Christy Noem, all these are others. They would never be able to say, go away, go to the observatory. Kamala Harris was great. Have you seen Kamala lately? Not a bit. Have you heard her? Not a peep. Anywhere at all? Nowhere. She's nowhere to be found. Nowhere. You want somebody like Mike Pence who tries to get a different group. Now, how important Ben Carson is to pulling in the African American vote? I don't know. He pulls in the African American Republican vote. I think he'd be a great cause. You want, first of all, somebody who is not going to outshine you. That's why many people believe that Lyndon Johnson might have been one of the worst things ever. That sealed the fate of JFK. Okay. Now you're saying Tulsi Gabbard is a complete and total phony. Tulsi Gabbard is about Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard, if you told her, listen, do you want to be known as she's making money? She is, hello, I'm Tulsi Gabbard. With the Yvonne DiCarlo thing, she says nothing. She's okay. She's not bad. But I can't believe how Tucker and Tulsi are in this. They don't say anything. They say nothing that we say, I didn't know. I told you this last night. Tucker Carlson has been, he always says, I'm fascinated by UFOs. No, you're not, because you speak to it like a child. Tulsi Gabbard just says this. Did you see her Second Amendment? You've got to think strategic, not I like her. I like her. I think John Kennedy is fun, isn't it? I wouldn't get him anywhere near this. But I like him. I like him. Those are like Ted Cruz. I like him as a senator. And I never understand. He was born in Canada. How does that even work? But nobody seems to care. Don't worry about what you like. Rick Scott. Susie, do you know the story about Rick Scott? Do you know, remember the Rick Scott? Oh, listen to me. I'm going to try to break it to you. It's almost like telling somebody that mommy and daddy are getting a divorce, okay? There's something which sounds terrific, but this is important. Tim Scott. Remember Tim Scott all of a sudden? Look, whether he is, whatever his sexual, he says, I have a wonderful girlfriend and we have a wonderful relationship. The good news is God has blessed me with a smart Christian woman. Please stop this. Cory Booker. Remember when Cory Booker, who was that woman? Who was his boo? What was her name? Rosario Dawson. Remember that? Do me a favor. Cory Booker. I don't know Cory Booker. You don't really see him anymore. You don't hear from him. He's like the Kirsten Gillibrand. He's the D.B. Cooper of the Senate. He was going out with Rosario Dawson. That's my boo. Everybody's saying, oh, please stop this. Stop this. For the love of God. What are you doing? I mean, come on. This is nuts. Look, so just ask yourself, do you think America, and I'm not accusing, not that there's anything to accuse, but do you think America is ready for a gay president or a gay vice president? Do you? No. Is America ready for a gay, excuse me, not gay, a woman president? I don't know. Vice president, sure. President, don't know. Now you got to ask yourself this question. You have to remember, can change from what I like. The people that I like are never ready for prime time. What politician has let you down the most? Let me give you mine. Number one, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a big fat zero. Absolutely nothing. Low-hanging fruit, Joe Biden. How about Matt Gaetz? Notice him? Matt Gaetz is so sleazy. I never liked him. Never, ever, ever. But people did because they didn't see. Their whole thing is they love this Biden, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert. I can't stand her. Get rid of her. Put somebody in. Put an adult in there. This is my country, and this is the party that goes after the Jerry Nadlers and the Nancy Pelosi's and others. I need serious people, and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. What's the matter with us? Because we're into guns? No. Sarah Palin. David, Sarah Palin was the biggest waste of time. I can't believe anybody even bothered with Sarah Palin. I don't know who's out there. I don't know who is being groomed. I don't know who's basically, we need somebody who is, and I don't want a lot of things like ex-Navy SEAL. Don't give me this stuff. Just give me somebody who's just normal. Somebody who's normal. I don't care if a lot of kids. I want somebody to say, listen to them. I don't want somebody who's military or somebody who made a fortune in the tech field. I don't care. No. I want somebody who says, here's what I'm going to do. This, and this. Something very, very simple. That's all. That's all. So, my friends, I wish you the best. I have business to do. I want to thank you. By the way, Liz Solak's on her way out. And when Liz is the one who says, by the way, thank you, Mr. President. Okay, that's it. And to our dear friends, to Lori Cook, thank you, dear heart. Thank you for your kindness and your participatory involvement this morn. Let me also say to you, my dear friends, this is Mrs. L's birthday week. Oh, we're going crazy. We are going nuts. And one of the best things you can do is to promote her and to follow her as follows. Let me just say this to you right here, dear friends, right here. This is critical. I want you to go to her YouTube channel right there to that link. And also, she has the absolute best information on her Twitter channel, bar none. And you should be following Twitter because that's the official means by which the world communicates. We love you. Thank you so much for your time, your effort, your focus, your participation. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. And don't forget these final words. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da, da.